So welcome everybody. As Dr. Terrace mentioned, this is the first of two open houses we're going to do. We're going to do another one towards the end of August as well. So if you missed something, you can check it out on YouTube. As Dr. Terrace mentioned, we'll be recording it. And I'll go ahead. It'll be about a 30-minute presentation about the program, and then we'll certainly have time for questions afterwards. So if you're going through and something piques your interest, just take some notes, and we can certainly discuss afterwards as well. So for those of you starting this process, which I'm sure everybody is at this point, this is a screenshot from the Society of Academic Urology's main page, and this essentially shows the updated timeline that we're going through now. So as you can see, we're early in the process. The registration has already opened. And really the first big deadline, as I've started here, is going to be the preference signaling deadline. And we can talk a little bit more about preference signaling after as well. But essentially, that's going to be where you identify 5 programs that you want to send a signal to. And that deadline is going to be the 16th. And then the next sort of big deadline is October 21st, when you'll receive the interview offers. And then there'll be a process of waiting the 3 days, reply to the offers. We have this new thing called the flush day, which is essentially allowing you guys to rearrange things a little bit, get on wait lists and whatnot after the programs have sort of sent out their offers. And then really the next big deadline is January 10th, 2023, which will be the rank list deadline, and then match day will be Thursday, February 2nd. So this is going to go very quickly for you guys and certainly for us as well. So it's a fun time. It's a tiring time. But certainly it's an important time for both the applicants and the programs. So our interview dates will be Saturday, the 5th of November and Saturday, the 10th of December. And so just mark those on your calendars, especially if you would like to apply to our program. So for those of you not familiar with the South, this is essentially a little screenshot of the Southeast. You can see Augusta is on the Savannah River. And essentially the Savannah River all the way up forms the border between South Carolina and Georgia. And I'll bring this picture back up a little bit later in the talk to sort of go over some of the highlights of what's around our area. So this is a building that still is downtown Augusta. It's the original medical school building. And this med school is actually quite old. It was founded in 1828, 13th med school in the United States, and currently one of the biggest ones as well. Perhaps one of our recent graduates can tell us what the class size is, but I think it's almost 300, if not even more, especially with all the campuses we have around the state. So the sort of the undergrad campus and the med school, sort of AU Health itself, merged almost a decade ago now. And so it's all under the auspice of Augusta University, and 10,000 students in the undergrad campus, 1,000 full-time faculty. So it's all sort of under one roof at this point, even though this campus is a few miles away from the hospital and medical center itself. In terms of the health science campus, it's a I guess you could say it's an urban campus. It's not urban as in like New York, but it's all sort of downtown in one area. We've got medical school, dental school, graduate school, nursing, allied health. We have a ton of NIH funding, and typically are in the top 10 in terms of funding per faculty. A little more pertinent to you guys is sort of what the hospitals that you'll be at. So this is the AU Health Medical Center is the main sort of flagship hospital. It's 478 beds. The VA just across the street is 156 beds. And the Children's Hospital of Georgia, which is our PEDS hospital, is attached to the main hospital and is 154 beds. So this is kind of a crappy Google Maps picture that kind of shows you a little bit of where things are situated. And I show you this because essentially this is all, within walking distance. As I mentioned, main hospital is over here. PEDS hospitals in the back here, and then the VA is just across the street. So you've got literally everything within a 5-minute walk of each other. So cancer center is down here in the corner, a little bit off the screen, so you do some clinic over there as well. But the nice thing is that you are sort of situated in one area, not traveling all over a big city. This is a picture of the hospital itself on the top right, and then the outpatient clinics on the bottom left. The Children's Hospital is a beautiful facility. It's just, like I said, adjacent to the main hospital. And it's a great rotation with Dr. Morgenstern, and the staff there and the nursing staff is fantastic at the PEDS hospital for sure. So our VA, pretty standard looking VA. It's a busy VA. We're essentially a kind of a tertiary VA referral center. So we absorb a lot of patients from the surrounding states of South Carolina, Georgia, and even into parts of Tennessee. And VA is a critical part of our training program. And I know we have several of the folks that are rotating at the VA on the call as well in terms of the residents. So this is the dental college. It's probably about 3 or 4 years old now. Beautiful building. It's the only state dental college in the state, and it's a big school. We don't have a ton of interaction there, but it's just sort of off to the side from that other map that I showed previously. Sort of adjacent to that is the new J. Harold Harrison Educational Building, which is the main building for the medical school. This was built about 4 or 5 years ago now. Beautiful facility, as some of our current residents who are medical students at our campus can attest to. This is our cancer center. As I mentioned, it's sort of about a 3-minute walk from the main hospital. It's got a connection here now between the main cancer center outpatient buildings and the research building. And so this is all sort of interconnected between sort of the clinical care and the basic science research going on in this building here. So this map is basically the 2 main counties that are around the hospital. So if you look kind of down to the right, on the right side of this picture is kind of where the main hospital is. And this is Richmond County. So Columbia County, as you go further west, encompasses Evans and Grovetown. And so it's one of the fastest growing counties in the state. And the MCG, or the AU Health flagship hospital, has essentially received the rights to build a new Columbia County hospital out there. We also have a surgery center out there, which Dr. Santa Maria primarily goes to. It's about a 20-minute drive. And then this new Columbia County hospital, which we're hoping will be built in the next several years. It seems like it's getting closer. There's a bunch of as you'd expect, lawyer stuff holding things up a little bit. But this should be breaking ground soon. And I would imagine that sometime during your residency, this hospital will be someplace we'll be rotating at eventually. So it's basically taking the care in a tertiary center hospital, at least a tertiary center affiliated hospital, to one of the fastest growing counties in the state. Let's see, my computer is trying to go to the next slide. There we go. All right. So we're a 5-year program, fully accredited. We have 1 intern year and 4 urology years. We currently have 13 residents. In 2019, we were approved for an increase to 3 residents per year. So over the next 2 years, we'll be up to our full complement of 15 residents. So you can see the breakdown that we have as of July 2022. In terms of the rotations, there's 6 months of urology and 6 months of general surgery. So we've sort of strategically picked these general surgery rotations out. MIS stands for minimally invasive surgery, so you get some robotic experience early on, transplant, surgical oncology, surgical ICU, pediatric surgery, and acute care surgery. And those are all quite good rotations. And we've had that sort of set 6 months of general surgery rotations for the last couple of years. In PGY 2-year, it's a combination of being at the main hospital for the adult service, the VA, and then the pediatric urology hospital, sort of evenly split between those 3 hospitals, where you're essentially the pre-op resident and the clinic resident. And then the PGY 3-year, it's split between research, AU adult, and the VA as well. In your 4th year is your sort of senior residency year on pediatric urology, as well as a couple of months on urogynecology, and then a senior resident at the main hospital. And then in your 5th year, it's a combination of VA and AU, and likely to be chief of Columbia County when that hospital is built in the coming years as well. Our call schedule is pretty traditional. We do power weekends, which gives you plenty of weekends off, actually. So you work Friday to Monday. It's always a senior call pool and a junior call pool, in terms of 2 residents are always on call. And so the 2s and 3s are in a call pool. The 4s and 5s are in a call pool. And the PGY1, when they're on urology, typically works a couple weekends a month, and typically holds a pager from about 8 in the morning till 6 at night. So we strictly adhere to the 80-hour work week, and we don't allow any moonlighting during residency. So we have several benefits, I think, to this program. We have a robust clinical experience. We have diverse faculty and residents, a really aggressive didactic program with strong faculty participation, and certainly a culture of investigation. As you saw in the previous slides, there's research dedicated in your third year, but we certainly encourage that throughout the entire residency if you'd like. This is a slide that essentially shows that the national sort of median for all of these main categories of urology training is on the right side of this bar graph. And you can see that essentially the median for the MCG graduates is above that median for the country in pretty much every category. This is a little bit more of a specific recent chief resident graduating's case log. Not to belabor the point, but you can see the minimums on the right that you need to graduate, and green means go. So this particular resident certainly had all of his numbers to graduate, and in some cases had 3 or 4 times necessary to graduate. So we cover all of our bases, and there's a lot of autonomy, especially as you move along. So not only are these scrub numbers, but they're also the residents doing a very large, if not a significant proportion of the case especially as you move into your 4th and 5th year. So in terms of our current team, as we met already, Dr. Terra, she's our fearless leader and our chair of the program, did our general surgery residency at Duke, urology at Stanford, and an oncology fellowship at Stanford, has been the chair for 11 years now, if I'm doing my math correctly, maybe 12. 11, okay. I should know that because I started residency when we were starting, so I should be able to remember that one. I did my residency at MCG as well from 2011 to 2016, and then did a 2-year oncology fellowship in Toronto, and then have been back since then. And so I do primarily urologic oncology, and I'm the program director as well. Dr. King's our assistant program director. We were co-residents together. She was a year ahead of me and did a 1-year fellowship in San Diego in sexual medicine. So she's been back for over 5 years now and does a phenomenal job with our cancer survivorship program, particularly with incontinence and ED, as well as a very, very busy and robust prosthetics program. Dr. Morgenstern and I joined around the same time. He did his residency at Long Island Jewish as well as his pediatric fellowship. And so he's really built up our pediatric program with a great team over there. And you spend, I would say 4, 6, 8, probably about 8 to 10 months with him during the course of your residency program. Dr. Santa Maria has now been with us for going on his 3rd year. He's a very busy general urologist and did his residency at Emory, and has been a great addition to our team and sees a ton of patients and has a busy service. Dr. Simmons has also been with us for going on his 3rd year now. Spent some time at the VA and now has moved over across the street with us full time. He's been a great addition to our team and does a lot of robotic and general urology. Did his residency in Cleveland, did some time in private practice out in Oregon. Has been out with us since about July of 2020. Moving to the VA, Dr. Dykes is our chief of the VA since 2016. I say general urology, but he really does everything. And so he has been fantastic and does a great job with innovation, bringing in XI robots to the VA and all sorts of cool lasers and stuff. So he's originally did his residency in Tripler, and then since he completed his service, has been at the VA since 2016. Dr. DeCaro has been with us for a couple years now. He did his residency at Emory and splits his time between telehealth for the VA in Augusta, as well as spending some time on site operating at the VA as well. Some additional faculty, I mentioned that we rotate on the Urogyn service. So this is Dr. Lanzer and Dr. Henley, both of who are fantastic. And I think they have a 3rd partner that's coming on soon as well, if not already here. We have 2 powerhouse basic scientists that we collaborate with, Drs. Lokeshwar, Banata, and Bal, who are fantastic and do a great job with our residents in the and bringing them into the lab if they'd like to, especially during their 3rd year protected research time. Of course, we can't do this by ourselves. We have several outstanding nurse practitioners, 2 in the general urology clinic, Lynn Almond and Miranda Schuler, and 2 in the ped side, Miranda Wood and Jill Harper. And we are in the finishing touches of hiring another cancer center NP. So I'll have to update this slide probably by the time we do the next talk, so which is great. And at the VA, if anybody's worked in a VA, it also is extremely busy. We have 4 fantastic PAs that help and do a great job in the clinic, seeing a ton of patients as well. So that's them listed here. Of course, we have some phenomenal administrative staff. Susan Walker's at the peds side, Eva's on the adult side, and most of you already interacted with the wonderful Kim Maddox, who's our urology residency coordinator and has done a phenomenal job for, I think, over 20 years now in our program. All right, so our current residencies are our PGY5s. Eric Thomas is from Florida and did his MD at Florida State University. He'll be joining a private practice group in Florence, South Carolina after this year. Katie Rogers did her undergrad and her medical school in Macon, Georgia. She's originally from Rome, and she'll be going back to Rome for private practice starting next year as well. Our current 4 group, Hunter Lambert from Mississippi, bachelor's and MD, and is going to Tennessee when he's finished practice. Tony Haifa is University of Georgia through and through, and then did his MD at Mercer University. And then Mike Oberly from South Dakota and did his undergrad and med school up there, and is close to probably signing a contract to go back to that area at some point in the near future as well. Our PGY3 class is Kyle Klein, who did his MD at the University of Arkansas, and Mary Ma, who did her Bachelor's of Science at the University of Georgia, and then MD, PhD a couple of years ago at the Medical College of Georgia. PGY2 class is Nate Taylor, University of Georgia and MCG, as well as Carter Reed on the right, MCG graduate as well from a couple of years ago, University of Alabama undergrad. And in the middle is Weber Pike, who did his bachelor's at University of South Carolina and his MD at USC Greenville, just up the street from us. And our newest minted class is Drew Sanders. I went to UAB and then did his MD at Morehouse School of Medicine. Ed Mackin is our Kansas guy, undergrad, and his MD. And then Chen, another Georgia girl from University of Georgia, Bachelor's of Science, and then her MD as well from MCG. So we've got a great group of residents and really are the key to how this whole process works, and our number one goal, not only is patient care, but training these fine people. In terms of our didactics, it's pretty structured in terms of Mondays having pre-op conference, Monday evening teaching conference. We have a quarterly radiology conference, usually at a restaurant in town with our colleagues at Augusta Urology, which is a great private practice group in town. Like most places, we have a monthly M&M and a twice monthly multidisciplinary tumor board. We have monthly journal clubs, which typically are the second half of the academic year. So after the end service is finished in November, take a little bit of break around the holidays, and then subsequently jump into journal clubs after the new year. The chapter reviews are typically leading up to the in-service, as well as the faculty resident lectures, which sort of gear towards the in-service in the week before Thanksgiving. In terms of conferences that we go to, we have a local meeting called the Rinker-Withington Urology Symposium, which is coming up on almost 50 years. So it's always typically a keynote speaker we bring in. It's a couple days in September. It's a great weekend. A lot of our alumni come back. We had Neil Fleshner, who is from Toronto last year, and we have another fantastic program set up for this September, led by Dr. Simmons. We have something called the Mode Memorial Research Student Symposium, and this is named after one of our late faculty who passed away in 2013, and is a great time for the residents and students to present, especially because it's sort of timed in February before the Southeast section meeting, as well as the AUA meeting. So you get a chance to practice before that meeting starts. And then we have the Southeast meeting, the AUA, the Georgia Urology meeting. And I have a couple pictures of the Georgia Urology meeting. This is at Sea Island in South Georgia. It's a fantastic weekend in September. The PGY4s typically go to Sea Island, and it's set up. It's like the dream meeting. You go to the meeting from like 8 till 1, then you have free time in the afternoon and evening. So it's a good combination of a little bit of learning and a lot of fun on the beach and the pool. In terms of the research, as I mentioned, there's dedicated time in your PGY3 year. As I also mentioned, additional research is strongly encouraged. And we have the Locust Shore Lab, which I've talked about. We typically try to get everybody a paper per year, and everybody presents at the Mode Research Symposium. In terms of where our residents have gone, so I would say about 1/3 to half in the last 10 years have gone into fellowship. As you would expect, being in the South, a lot of folks do tend to stay in the South, but we do have have people practicing really all over the country, as you can see listed here. So my computer's taking a little break here for a second. Let's see. We'll get there. This is the locations of where folks have done residencies. As you can see, it's quite broad in terms of not only the specialties, but the geography. Most recently, Rashid is one of our chiefs that just graduated, is in Toronto doing an oncology fellowship. And we've had great success with pediatrics and sexual medicine as well. So the message here is that we want to train good urologists, good people. If you want to do private practice, we'll get you the private practice job you want. If you want to do fellowship, between the faculty that we have great connections. And I think everybody that's gotten into fellowship has essentially gotten what they want and probably their top 3 choices. As most programs, there's good coverage for health insurance and disability malpractice, coats and laundering. You get meals on call, 3 weeks of protected vacation, family and sick leave. And we've added a bullet point for successful couple matches if that applies to you, in terms of Dr. Haifa, Oberly, and Reed successfully couple matching with their significant others. I added this year. We've got a new highly functioning gym right across from Kim's office. Dr. Santa Maria donated a Peloton, and we've added a few things. I don't even know what this thing is here. It looks like an incline bench. I'm going to have to ask Drew what that's for. But we've got some weights, and I know a lot of folks have been using it. So it's good. I mean, you get a little workout in the morning and the afternoon, but I took these pictures yesterday to add to the slide deck. We've got some opportunities, of course, pre-COVID in terms of IVU Med. This is Catherine DeVries, who started IVU Med over 25 years ago right here in Augusta. And so we've had a couple of our residents that have been able to go and do rotations. Dr. Carnes, who now practices in Athens, Georgia, went to Haiti in 2018. Dr. Ben Harper, who now practices in Atlanta, went to India, literally, I think, weeks before the pandemic started in January, I believe. So we are hoping that this kind of gets back off the ground again as we emerge from the last couple of years. So certainly there's opportunities to do that, typically in your senior years of residency. So how far in am I? I'm about 27 minutes in. I've just mentioned the Masters for the first time, which is a fun week around here in the first full week of April. These are the dates for this year's tournament. It's a lot of fun. And we typically try to get everybody out there, hopefully at least once during the residency, if not several times. But it's not the easiest ticket to get, even if you're in town. So, but the place really does become the center of the sports universe for about a week. We've got several other great things to do in town. The Augusta Green Jackets are the single A affiliate of the Braves. They play across the river in North Augusta. This is their stadium. It's a great stadium right on the river. In 2018, Ballpark Digest named it the best minor league park in the country, and it's still I think only 3 or 4 years old now. And as you can see here, there's lots of river activities. The Augusta Canal runs right through town as well. Evans, which is the town just adjacent to us, about 15 minutes away in Columbia County, was named the best place to live right now. And this is, as you can see, right in the middle of the pandemic, September 2020. And so this is where I live, and a lot of the residents and faculty also live here. It's a great town. It's a lot of outdoor activities, a lot of people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. And it's a great place to live, and only about 15 minutes from the hospital. Also in Evans, we've got the new Columbia County Performing Arts Center. It was scheduled to open in 2020. Of course, that didn't happen. So it's opened about probably 8 months ago now. And reasonably priced, beautiful facility. Watched the Nutcracker there with my family at Christmas last year. So it's very close if you live in Evans, and if you live in Augusta or even North Augusta, it's only 15, 20 minutes away. So I promised I'd bring this picture back towards the end. And this is what I call the 3-hour radius. And so if you look at Augusta right in the middle, the circle represents about 3-hour driving time. So we've got Atlanta just about 2.5 hours to the straight west. We've got just outside of this radius, we've got the Smoky Mountains up here. Asheville, North Carolina is up here at the top. Charlotte's about 2 hours and 20 minutes away. Columbia, South Carolina is about 1 hour and 20. Athens is about 1 hour and 45. Charleston, Hilton Head, Savannah, all within about 2.5 hours. So great weekend trips. And I mentioned Sea Island and the GUA, the Georgia Urology meeting. It's just down here, just outside that 3-hour radius, about 3.5 hour drive to Sea Island, just down here. So it's it's a very easy sort of long weekend or 1 year, 3 weeks of vacation to be able to go to several of these areas, and they're all pretty spectacular. So it gives you a little perspective of what's around us as well. Sort of wrap things up, we have a ton of running and active clubs around town, cycling. Of course, we have tons of golf courses. Appling, Georgia is the disc golf capital of the country, which is about 30 minutes away. We've got a lot of activities on the Augusta Canal and the Savannah River, festivals, a lot of outdoor activities to expect. Our climate's, it's quite nice here, especially in the fall and the spring. In terms of summarizing everything, we have very affordable housing. I would mention that all of our residents own their own places, which I don't think too many programs in the country can say. The sort of immediate area is about 300,000 people. If you expand out to the central Savannah River area, which is about 50 square miles, our sort of main area is about 750,000 people. We've got the club car headquarters. We've got Fort Gordon, which is a huge military base. Savannah River site's a nuclear plant just to the left of, or the north of us. We're now the Cyber Center National Headquarters. We've got the canal and the river, as I mentioned. Lots of parks, lots of tennis, outdoor pools, and golfing. So lots to do when you're not in the hospital and you've got your weekends off. So this is our updated photo we take every July. And so if you are paying attention, which I'm sure most of you are, which is why you're here on this call, is we've got lots of social media avenues, literally every avenue you can think of. Dr. Terrace does an amazing job with running our social media. And so we're delighted that you guys have taken some time out of your Saturday to join us. And I thank you for your attention, and we're more than happy to take questions and discuss further. Thank you.